You don't expect it when it comes. You think betrayal happens in big, cinematic explosions, screaming matches, cheating scandals, dramatic exits. But real betrayal, it moves quieter than that. It shows up in the soft click of high heels on your porch at midnight after 20 years of silence. That's how it starts for you. She's standing there, coat draped over one shoulder like a magazine ad, and a voice that used to hum lullabies now sounds like a therapist's script. "I need to talk," she says. You don't step aside. You don't invite her in. Your hand stays on the doorframe. She notices that. She notes everything. Cassandra Blake always had that eye for detail. It's what made her so good at leaving. She never forgot what would hurt the most. She tells you she's changed. Says it like a confession, soft and low, like you're the priest and she's hoping for absolution. "I'm clean, I've been clean, and I have a life now, a real one. I just want to see him." You almost laugh. That word "see," like your son is a museum exhibit or a coffee date. "He's asleep," you say. That's not true. Dylan never really sleeps anymore. Not since the college rejection letters started piling up and his girlfriend moved out of state. You told him to take a break, take a breath. He's 18, but the weight of being her son still sits like lead on his chest, even if he never really knew her. "I'm not here to cause trouble." Cassandra shifts her bag higher. Louis Vuitton. Real, paid for by someone else. "I just want to reconnect." You don't say what you're thinking. That reconnecting isn't something you get to do like restarting a router. You don't reboot a family, you rebuild it. And rebuild takes years. She gave up the blueprint when Dylan was barely out of diapers. Behind her, a black car idles. You catch the profile, a man, mid-50s, tailored coat, silver hair, and a stillness that feels more like calculation than calm. You know his type: clean shoes, dirty hands. Who's the guy you ask? She smiles like you're being cute. Gerald Calloway. "We're engaged." That name drops like lead. You know it from the real estate flyers, from the developers buying up your town block by block. Your hardware store is one of the last places holding out. And now Cassandra's reappeared with the man whose company has tried 3 times to buy you out. It's not a coincidence. You were born at night, but not last night. "I've raised him his whole life," you say. "He doesn't even remember you." "That's why I need time." She leans in just a little. "You smell that expensive perfume? The kind that costs more than your mortgage. I'm not trying to replace you." But she is. Maybe not today, but that's always the end game. When ghosts come back, they don't want peace. They want territory. You don't slam the door. You close it slow, let her see your hand still steady on the knob. She leaves eventually. Car pulls away silent, like this was just the first move on a chessboard you didn't know existed until now. In the morning, Dylan finds the coffee you didn't drink and asks if you're okay. You lie. Say you're just tired. You've been tired for a decade. Tired of being enough for a kid who always wondered why his mother never called. Tired of protecting him from a past that just showed up in a luxury sedan. He notices the lie. He doesn't call you on it. That's the kind of man you raised. You go back to the shop that morning, hands deep in broken pipe fittings and rusted bolts before sunrise. The routine is how you cope, tighten, weld, restore, repeat. Something about fixing busted things gives you control, gives you peace. You've spent years building something Dylan can stand on, something real. And now the woman who ghosted out of your life in a hail of broken promises is back, dragging a wolf in polished leather behind her. You don't tell Dylan about Gerald, not yet. Let him come to his own conclusions. You tell yourself, but deep down, you know exactly how this plays out. Gerald Calloway doesn't date women like Cassandra Blake for love. He dates them for leverage. And Dylan, your son. Your son is leverage worth more than a building permit. The first signs are subtle. Dylan starts coming home later, talks less, uses phrases like opportunity and reconnecting in ways that don't sound like him. Then comes the lunch date with Cassandra. He says she just wants to get to know him. You want to tell him the truth, that she gave up the right to know him the day she put her name on those relinquishment papers and walked out with tears that dried faster than ink. But you don't. You let him go. Because if you push too hard, you know you'll drive him right into her waiting arms. When he gets back, he's holding a new watch, a sleek silver one with a leather strap that's probably worth more than the truck he drives. Says she bought it for him. No reason. Just wanted to spoil him a little. That word spoil. It makes your jaw tighten. She cried when I told her about graduation, he says, smiling like it matters. You nod like it matters to you too, like you don't see what's happening, piece by piece. They're rewiring his idea of family. Cassandra plays the long-lost mother come to make amends. Gerald plays the benefactor, dangling jobs and futures wrapped in mahogany desks and corner offices. And what do you have? A second-hand shop, a creaky back, and 20 years of memories Dylan can't put on a resume. You try to talk to him one night. Tell him what you know about Gerald, about the land grabs, about the way men like him work. You keep your voice calm, steady, facts only. But Dylan looks at you like you're jealous, like maybe you're the one trying to manipulate him. He believes in me, he says. And the words cut deeper than anything Cassandra ever said. Because you've believed in him since he was a scared 3-year-old who thought thunder meant the sky was falling. You sit on that for a long time. Long enough to know that words won't save him now. You're going to need proof. So you do what men like you do when the world tries to pull something away, you dig in. You start keeping tabs, late nights, quiet calls to old friends who know how to pull property records and financial ledgers. You find out Gerald's firm has eyes on your entire neighborhood. Every lot's been bought except yours. And now Cassandra's back, smiling like forgiveness, while her fiancé sharpens the knife behind her. The pieces click together, the free gifts, the fake tears, the family dinners Cassandra keeps inviting Dylan to. They're playing the long game. Get Dylan, get to you. But they forgot one thing. You built this boy from the inside out, and you know exactly where the seams are. You start planting seeds, quiet ones. You don't accuse, you don't rage. That's not how you were raised. That's not how you win. You just let Dylan into the shop a little deeper. Let him see the accounts. Let him run a few numbers. Give him invoices that show just how tight your margins are. How every nut and bolt keeps people in this town working, living, feeding their families. It's not charity. It's pride. You built something that matters. And for a while, it seems like he's starting to understand. But then Gerald makes his move. It comes in a thick envelope addressed to Dylan, delivered by courier like it's a golden ticket. You find it half opened on the kitchen counter, right next to your coffee mug. Inside is a job offer, full-time, project lead, custom title Community Development Strategist, salary north of 6 figures, health benefits, relocation package if he wants it. It's bait, wrapped in silk. A fast track to everything Dylan thinks he's been missing. You don't say anything right away. Just fold the letter back into the envelope and leave it where you found it. Later that night, you sit across from him at the dinner table. He doesn't touch his food, just keeps staring at the ceiling like he's looking for answers up there. "I think I need to at least consider it," he says. You nod once. You keep your voice calm. You speak like a man who's been here before. "I get it," you say, "but make sure you know what you're really signing up for." He leans back in his chair, jaw tight. Maybe he's not the villain you think he is. You breathe in deep. Let the silence stretch. "Maybe," you say, "but villains rarely think they're villains." A week passes. Dylan visits their house. Not the old apartment downtown, the new place, the one on the hill with the wrought iron gate and the stone lions at the driveway. He says it's just dinner, but he comes back smelling like expensive cologne and driving a loaner car Gerald let him test out. German, black. Too sleek for these streets. The next day, Gerald shows up at your shop. Doesn't ask, doesn't call ahead, just strolls in like he's checking his property lines. He's got that smile, the one built in boardrooms, shiny and hollow. "Thought I'd stop by," he says, "just to clear the air." You wipe your hands on a rag and nod toward the bench. He doesn't sit. "Dylan's a remarkable young man. You did a great job raising him." You wait. He shifts, adjusts his cufflinks like they're watching him. "But you have to understand this opportunity I'm offering isn't about taking him away from you. It's about setting him up for something more." You feel that spark light in your chest, the one you've held back since the day Cassandra first called herself Mom again. He already has something more. You say, he has roots. He has a life. Gerald nods. "Sure, but roots can become chains. What I'm offering is freedom." You meet his eyes, and for the first time, he blinks. Freedom for who you ask. You, Cassandra, or Dylan. When he wakes up 5 years from now and realizes he's just a pawn in someone else's game. Gerald's smile falters. Just for a second, but it's enough. He leaves without saying goodbye. The door shuts behind him like punctuation. Later that night, Dylan asks if Gerald came by. You say yes, and nothing more. Because this isn't about scaring him out of a bad decision. It's about letting him see it for what it is. You've set the fuse, now you wait. 2 days later, the wind shifts. It's not in a big way. You just notice the air's changed when Dylan walks into the shop and doesn't have that tight, rehearsed edge in his voice. He grabs a wrench without asking, rolls up his sleeves and falls into the rhythm like he did when he was 14 and still believed everything you said was gospel. He doesn't bring up Gerald, doesn't mention Cassandra. But, you know something's cooking? Then, one night, he sits across from you in the shop office, old fluorescent light buzzing overhead, smell of oil thick in the air, and he asks, "Did she ever try to call?" Your hands stop moving. You think about the nights Dylan fell asleep with his face pressed against the front window. You think about the birthdays that passed with no cards, the school plays she never came to, the hospital visit when he broke his arm and asked if she would show. You think about how you used to say she was just busy, that maybe she'd come next year. Until one night you didn't say anything anymore. No, you say, she didn't. He looks down at his shoes. She said you kept her away. You take a long breath. I gave her every chance. She just didn't take it. Silence stretches again, but this time it feels different, like space being made for something honest. Then he says, She showed me baby pictures, said she remembered everything, but you wait. But the timestamp was off, he says. The kid in the picture wasn't even me. He laughs a little, bitter and quiet. I guess I wanted to believe her. You nod? We all want to believe the people we came from are better than the people who stayed. That hits him. You see it in his shoulders, how they dip just a little. Not in shame, just recognition. The way a man feels when he realizes the person holding him up has been doing it longer than he knew. He reaches into his pocket and pulls out the company badge Gerald gave him, sets it on the table. I haven't quit yet, he says. But I haven't gone back either. You pick up the badge, flip it once. Cold plastic, glossy finish. Looks official. Looks like a future. But it's empty inside. What are you waiting for, you ask? Proof, he says. I need to know what the truth really is. You look at him like it's the first time. Not a boy anymore. A man standing at the fork in his life. And you know you've got one shot to guide him right. So you show him every document, every recording, every file you've been collecting for the last month. You let him hear Gerald say the words himself about development deals and acquisition pressure and using Cassandra as a pawn to get to you. He listens without speaking. Eyes locked on the screen, jaw clenched so tight you can hear it grind. When the final clip ends, he just sits there. Then he says, I'll get the rest. You nod once. Because now he's not just your son. He's your partner. The shift happens fast, faster than you expect. Dylan starts playing along. He goes back to work at Gerald's firm, smile polished, words measured, attitude spotless. You watch him from across the dinner table some nights, and you know that look in his eye. It's yours, the one you wore the day you fought for custody and didn't flinch while Cassandra sobbed in the courtroom. The kind of look that says, I already know how this ends. I'm just letting you think you're still in control. Inside the company, Dylan starts collecting everything: emails, paper trails, quiet recordings when Gerald brags after 3 drinks at team dinners. He leaks blueprints to you, proof that Gerald's real plan was to wipe out the entire block, not just the shop. Affordable housing gone, small businesses erased, replaced with steel glass towers and valet-only parking. But what burns the most isn't the greed. It's the way Gerald talks about him. He's perfect, Gerald says in one clip, just naive enough to want approval, just ambitious enough to need it. Once the kid's on board, the rest of the neighborhood folds. Loyalty's a cheap currency if you know how to spend it. Dylan listens to that one over and over. And one night, he doesn't say anything, just throws up in the bathroom for an hour and comes out looking 10 years older. You don't ask what he's feeling. Because you already know. When the final piece lands the wire transfer to Cassandra's account labeled Family Reintegration Services, you both stop pretending. The case you build is airtight. Fraud, coercion, corporate espionage, even attempted psychological abuse. You loop in a local journalist, one you trust, the kind who doesn't just chase headlines, but knows what's at stake when truth doesn't come out clean. The story breaks on a Wednesday. Front page, top of the hour, everywhere. By noon, Gerald's name is radioactive. Investors flee. City officials deny knowing him. Cassandra deletes every trace of herself online, but the internet doesn't forget. By the next day, the company's in full collapse. And on Friday morning, the feds walk into his corner office with warrants and handcuffs. You watch it happen live, not because you enjoy it, but because Dylan needs to see it, needs to understand that sometimes the only way to protect what matters is to burn down what threatens it. That night, Cassandra shows up again. Same porch, different tone. She doesn't ask to come in this time. She says, "I didn't know it would go this far." You nod, not because you believe her, but because there's nothing left to say. You wait for her to ask about Dylan. She doesn't. And that tells you everything. She leaves, this time for good. You close the door without a word. You don't talk about her after that. Not with Dylan. Not with yourself. Not even in your thoughts when the house goes quiet after midnight and you hear the old furnace hum like a lullaby for men who've carried too much. Some things don't deserve remembering. Some things are just pages you rip out of a book so the ending reads better. Dylan stays, doesn't move to the city, doesn't chase the corner office. He finishes his degree online, then takes a job with a community co-op that restores old properties instead of demolishing them. You catch him sanding a porch rail one afternoon, sleeves rolled up, covered in paint dust, and something in you loosens. He's not trying to build skyscrapers anymore. He's trying to build back trust. On Sundays, he helps at the shop. Not because he has to, because he wants to. And sometimes, when he's lining up a drill press or recalibrating a machine, you catch him looking at you like he's still learning, still watching. And you realize maybe that's all fatherhood really is. Not the blood, not the name on the birth certificate. Just 1,000 quiet moments where you show up, over and over, until the boy you raised becomes the man you hoped he'd be. One evening in late spring, the two of you lock up the shop, same way you've done for years. Streets quiet. Air smells like rain that hasn't come yet. Dylan looks across the road at the block Gerald once tried to take, and he says he thought owning people was easier than earning them. You nod, let the silence sit, then say, "He thought a lot of things." You both laugh a little, not because it's funny, because it's finished. And then he asks it the one question you knew would come. "Do you think she ever loved me?" You don't flinch, don't lie. You just say, not in the way that lasts. He looks away, then back again, eyes clearer now, shoulders squared. "I don't need her to." That's when you know it's over. Not just the story, but the ache, the need, the part of him that kept waiting by the window, hoping the ghost would come home. You walk together back toward the house, streetlights flickering on, neighborhood still intact, families still laughing in the distance, the future waiting without fanfare. He doesn't look back. Neither do you. You don't get her back by waiting. You get her back by never needing her again.